Welcome back to Prison Architect. It's the tutorial series here, and I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment below. We are going to cover the infirmary and the morgue in this episode. Now, the morgue is fairly straightforward. It just has to be indoors, and it's got to have a morgue slab. Now, I like to space the slabs out with a gap in between just to make it easier for my doctors to maneuver. You can have slabs that are side by side like this. That will still work. That will save you some space, but if you need that many slabs for dead bodies, you probably have other problems that you need to address beforehand. So that's that as far as the morgue. Now, I will also point out that if prisoners were to happen to get into the morgue for whatever reason, they can get contraband out of there. Think like scissors and a knife that somebody would be using to do an autopsy, basically. So, um, always try and have a staff door in between the morgue and infirmary. This is kind of a good layout to have the infirmary feed into the morgue. Um, but that's how I like to do that. You could hypothetically justify a metal detector right here, but the odds of a prisoner getting in here with a staff door right there are pretty slim. It's probably not that necessary. Now, for the infirmary, the requirements are, where are you at? It's got to be indoors and it's got to have a medical bed. Now, it's probably a good idea, again, to have spaces in between the medical beds. I've got a little heater in here to help with temperature. Now, there's a lot going on in the infirmary that you should kind of be aware of. They do things in here like drug addiction treatments where they come in and they basically just sit in the bed for an hour, I think it is. Now, doctors, how they treat their decision as far as where to go, which infirmary to go to, is interesting. So if a doctor gets tired, they'll go to a staff room. So, like, for example, I've got a staff room here, I've got a big staff room up here. They're going to go to one of those staff rooms. When they are done with either that break or, like, let's say, for example, they've got to go out here and treat somebody, they will return to the closest infirmary to where they are when they complete that task. So I don't have a staff room over here. So what I've got to do is make sure that I always have doctors deployed to that infirmary to make sure that someone's going back there no matter what. Oh, I should also point out you can make the morgue staff only, and that will help also prevent that issue of inmates getting in there. But keep in mind that dynamic or that mechanic as to how doctors decide to return to different staff or to different infirmaries, because that can be an issue if you don't address it. In terms of contraband, contraband is a theme in this game that you kind of always have to be thinking about. They can get things like drugs, needles, poison, scissors, etc. So you've got to have a metal detector here. It's probably a good idea to also have a guard to make sure that if somebody does happen to try and sneak something out of the metal detector, they are right there to nab them. And then the last tip or trick that I will give you is really meant more for higher security prisons like medium or maximum. Minimum security, I don't know that this would necessarily be necessary, but you can actually put a solitary door beyond the staff door that gets into the infirmary and lock it open. So, like, for example, right here, I can go like this and lock it open. And that way, it will never close unless I hit this button right here, lockdown. Boom. As soon as I do that, it will instantly lock every door in the prison. Now, the reason that you would do that is because in the case of a riot, you could hit the lockdown button and it will lock down the infirmary so that your prisoners can't go crazy and then bust in there to try and beat up or kill the doctors, orderlies, guards, etc. So that's a little like advanced tip for the higher security level needs that you get into when you get more maximum security inmates, or just a massive prison where riots become a little bit more likely. That will do it for this one. Please be sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, comment below, and we'll see y'all next time.